Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today we're taking a look at a new 4K release from Paramount Pictures. This is A Quiet Place Part 2 on 4K Blu-ray. So we're going to dive into the visuals, the audio, special features, and packaging, and ultimately let you guys know whether this one's worth picking up for your collection. So diving right into the visuals, this is a very interesting movie because of the way it was shot. So A Quiet Place Part 2 is actually primarily shot on 35mm, but it also has some digitally shot scenes. It also has plenty of CGI with the monsters, right, from the movie, the aliens. And all of that was then finished at a 4K digital intermediate. So throughout the visuals, you'll actually see that the movie does switch back and forth between very clean 4K digital, not really any film grain, and then a really fine film grain for those that were shot on 35mm, which is the majority of the movie. So throughout most of the movie, you will see a fine film grain, but it is a true 4K presentation, and the detail here is really stunning. It looks just as good as it did when I saw this movie in theaters, and it is definitely a noticeable upgrade in quality over the Blu-ray, given that it is a true 4K. Now, this release also features Dolby Vision HDR, which I found extremely helpful when watching this. I'm not sure what movie theaters do in terms of HDR right now. I'm not really an expert in movie theater projection, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't use it, because I honestly thought that this looked a little bit better at home than it did in the movie theater. I thought I could make out a little bit more of the shadow detail. I thought that the darker scenes were a lot clearer, blacks were darker, but also allowed for you to see more of what was happening. It is sort of a dark movie at moments, and the last act is really kind of a almost entirely in the dark. It feels like if you've ever played the game The Last of Us, some of the scenes in that game where they're going through abandoned buildings, like that's sort of the look and feel of this movie in the third act, in the final act. So it really helped to have Dolby Vision HDR. There weren't a whole ton of highlights, although the standout for this movie visually, and I think just in terms of the movie as a whole, is the first 10 or 15 minutes where it jumps back to day one of the invasion, of the apocalypse, basically. I thought that that was excellent. From there, the rest of the visuals are fine. They look really nice, but that was clearly the standout, and it's also the standout of the movie. I really kind of wish they had just focused on that for the entire movie rather than jumping back into the present. That would have been cool to see more of. Maybe they'll do that in part 3, but that's a definite standout, and the rest of the movie looks very, very good with this 4K digital intermediate, Dolby Vision HDR. It has everything you could ask for right now in a 4K picture, and it does deliver great quality. Now for audio, we're packed with a Dolby Atmos audio track here. Now A Quiet Place Part 2 and the first Quiet Place movie are really centered around the audio and the sound, because the movie is so silent that the Dolby Atmos track, it has those powerful moments, or those moments where maybe something's moving over there to the left or to the right, or you need to be quiet, but you can hear the alien, the monster breathing, the creatures right in your face. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of great audio moments in this, and Dolby Atmos certainly adds a lot. Again, I think the first 15 minutes are a highlight. There's a few scenes in the middle and when they're on the island that are also pretty good with Atmos, but really, I keep going back to, man, I wish they had just kind of focused on a prequel almost leading up to the first movie rather than continuing the first movie's story right where it left off, because those sequences at the beginning are absolute standout reference stuff, and they're some of the most exciting of the entire movie. Now, I will say that both the Blu-ray and the 4K come with Dolby Atmos, so you aren't getting an audio upgrade by going to 4K. Those are both going to be the same and both very good, but you're definitely going to see the biggest upgrade in visuals, given that it's a true 4K, it has Dolby Vision HDR, and it's a 4K digital intermediate with 35mm elements mixed in. You're definitely going to want that 4K resolution to get the best experience out of this disc. Now, one thing I do want to quickly mention in this review is I am comparing this a lot to my theatrical experience, because the more I look at these, these new movies, everything looks really, really good on 4K. Like, very rarely do we see a new movie come out that doesn't have great 4K visuals, right? It's much more of a concern with older movies that had to go through restorations. So I compare it more to theatrical in the sense of, is this as good watching it at home as it was in a movie theater? And I have to say, like, the visuals were better here. The Dolby Atmos it's not as good as the theater experience, but it has the benefit of not having a crowd with you. I remember watching this the opening weekend, and my God, people kept talking. People kept asking questions to their partner or the person sitting next to them. Like, it was the most annoying thing in the world. I attribute it to the fact that maybe people forgot how to go to movies after we'd been out of them for a year and a half. But it's still, especially with a movie like this, where it demands silence and paying attention, and you're going to miss moments if people are talking over it. I had a better experience it with at home, and like that keeps happening for me. So, you know, I'm not saying death to movie theaters. I'll definitely go see the newest, the Dune movie, or the newest IMAX spectacle, the Christopher Nolan, the Quentin Tarantino's, the big event movies. I'll make my way to a movie theater for those. And A Quiet Place Part 2 was great in the theater, but I think more and more often there's a lot of movies that maybe I would have gone to see and paid the $20 just to check it out, that I'm just going to wait to come to disc, because the experience with these newer movies is just really close to what you're getting in the theater if you have all the modern technology. So anyways, little rant over there, but I thought it was interesting because this was the first movie I went back to the theater for, so I wanted to mention that. Now, jumping in really quick to packaging. This is the standard packaging here. You do get a slip cover, same artwork on the inside, and then your 4K upside down and Blu-ray disc right there. It does come with a digital copy, which should redeem in 4K as well. And there is also a steelbook available, which honestly, if you're a big fan of the movie or you want some better artwork, that would be your better option. But those are getting hard to find these days. I think there's production issues with them due to COVID. So I've seen really short supply in a lot of steelbooks. Now, the bonus features for this really quickly, none on the 4K disc. The Blu-ray just has a couple. It has some director diaries with John Krasinski. Those are cool, but honestly, I didn't think that anything he said in those was nothing he had already said in like interviews or podcasts that you could have already listened to. And then it has some behind the scenes of the visual effects and the sound, and the design. So pulling back the curtain of A Quiet Place Part 2, just how did they do set design, creature design, things like that. Very basic behind the scenes, really not a whole lot here if you're looking for bonus features, so that's a little disappointing. So overall, this is a very solid disc all around. You're not going to be disappointed with the 4K. In fact, I would recommend it given that it's true 4K, has digital elements and 35mm, and you're getting Atmos either way. You might as well just go with the 4K disc. It's going to give you the best experience, and I thought that the HDR really added to this and even elevated it over maybe what I saw, at least in my theater. So I thought that was really impressive from a visual perspective. Audio is great, but again, no upgrade there over the Blu-ray, but you'll be very, very happy with the Dolby Atmos track. I mean, it's reference stuff when it really kicks off, and it's really necessary for a movie like this to have great audio. So they nailed that. And then a little bit lacking on the special features and packaging. But overall, you know, as with most new movies, this one's going to be worth your 4K purchase. Spend the extra few bucks. Definitely worth it. It's not a 2K upscale or anything. So you're getting your full money's worth. You're getting 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. They gave you everything they could give you at this point for 4K. And so that's all you can really ask for with new movies. Plus it looks and sounds great. So it's a thumbs up for me. I would definitely recommend it. I will leave a link down in the description if you want to pick this up and you use my link. That helps support the channel, so I appreciate it. Also, make sure to check out all the other links down in the description for ways you can support me and the channel, and make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications on. Plus, like this video so others will see it and we can grow this community. We're still on track for our 100,000 subscriber goal. We're just about to cross 70,000 as of the time I'm making this video. So if you're watching this in a year, maybe we're already here. But as I made this video today, we're just at about 70,000, so let's keep getting more subscribers, keep spreading the community here, and keep growing physical media. I really appreciate it. But that's it for the review. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and stay healthy out there. Get your shots. Let's just take care of each other. The world's getting crazy right now. So do the right thing, and I'll talk to you soon.